Hello, I'm back reviewing Black Clover Volume 13. This one, the Hot Springs arc, the lower training ends up wrapping up pretty quickly, like within the first chapter. It's also revealed that Mara Leona knew Noelle's mom, Asu, and we also get like a little bit of insight to her mom, who hasn't been talked about that much, where she was one of the strongest mages in the Clover Kingdom, and despite fighting against her multiple times, Mara Leona could never win against her, and she ends up giving Noelle more advice by saying that she should train so passive but in her own way instead of like trying to like copy her, because she looks just like her mom. And so that kind of ends. We don't see Mara Leona again in this volume. And then right in the next one, we start getting to the Royal Knight exam. Well, the mages who want to compete go to, I think it's the same arena they went to for the first selection exam in like volume 1. But before that, it cuts over to someone else, where he's a mage from the Clover Kingdom who's confronting the vice captain of the Purple Orcus, whose name I can't pronounce. It's like XERX, and his last name, I think it's pronounced Logne. But this vice captain had been away from like the Purple Orcus hideout and everything for a while, so not that many people know what he looks like, but they have heard about like how he acts and stuff. And so the stranger ends up, like I said, confronting him and like assistant, I guess you could call him. And the vice captain is another noble, and this guy starts like going after him. The vice captain ends up attacking him, but the guy defeats him pretty easily and ends up taking his cloak. And he doesn't seem to like the Magic Knights that much, because he believes that all the him and all the other Magic Knights are abusing their power, which he isn't exactly wrong. And he ends up taking his robe and impersonating him as the vice captain. And I'll get a little bit more to that in a second. And it starts to reintroduce some characters like Mimosa and Claus, who I don't think have been seen since the Capital Invasion arc, if I'm not wrong. Like, I don't think they were around for the Star Festival, not that I can remember, but they show up again. Well, they've gotten stronger. A few other characters show back up, like Hammond and Electoro from the Golden Dawn. Langris shows up. So does Leopold, Salad, Noelle's older brother, and a few other like members of the various squads. I kind of like this because we're seeing more members than just kind of like the main ones that they show up, like Claus, Mimosa, and like Langris are sort of like the main Golden Dawn members. But we're starting to see a bit more of like Hammond and Electoa. We're seeing more of like the Purple Orcus squad, who don't show up that much except for like the one captain. And then we're seeing a few like Arcadia and like Blue Rose members. Because mostly we've just seen like the Black Bulls, like a few members of like the Golden Dawn and like the captains. And so Julius, Marx, and the King show up to explain the test, and it's a pretty easy test. Well, they just have teams of 3 fight against each other in order to destroy like the enemy crystals. And either they have to completely destroy the enemy crystal, or whoever does the most damage to the enemy's crystal in like the 30-minute mark wins. And like the team selection is random, and so members of the same squad don't end up working don't end up working together. And so Mimosa and Asta end up on the same squad with the guy who's impersonating the vice captain. And when he comes up, he started wearing the purple ogre's cloak originally, but then he ends up putting it on. And like a few members of the purple ogres are commenting about him, saying, "Is that what the vice captain looks like? He's not at all like the rumors. He's been stationed in the borderlands, so only a few people know him." And so I'm kind of wondering, like, he's like the vice captain of the purple ogres. How come more of the members don't know more about him? Like even though he's been stationed there, you would think they would have more information about him to know that this guy isn't the vice captain. Especially because, like, you would think that what he did to the vice captain would have become known by now, because there was time in between him attacking the guy and then him coming to the Royal Knights exam. Because it's, when he first encounters the guy, it just says a sword royal earlier. And he never attacked the guy's, like, assistant, so did he not tell anybody what happened? Or were they so far out that nobody has found out yet? I don't know. Because it's something similar with, like, in the beginning when they, in, like, volume 3, I think, when they first get to the capital and they meet Julius for the first time, and and Asta have no idea who he was. And, like, he's like the Wizard King, like one of the most important people in the country, and they didn't know what he looks like. Like, they had, like, no paintings or anything of him, so it just, like, didn't make that much sense that they don't know who he is. So it's kind of similar here, that they have no idea what the vice captain even looks like. And we also get the introduction of Mimosa's older brother, who was referenced in a little family child in the beginning, that also, like, sort of introduced Leona. His name is Kirsch, Kirsch, where he's the vice captain of the Coral Peacocks. And it's revealed that he does most of the work around there because Dorothy is asleep the entire time. Mimosa, Asta, and the one guy, they're, like, the first to fight, and so they end up going, but the guy spends most of it asleep, and so they try and fight against, I think it was a member of the Coral Peacocks, someone from the Crimson Lion Kings, and another guy from the Silver Eagles. And so Mimosa also got stronger, and she started learning some more, like, attack magic, along with, like, a support magic. And so she also ends up using a magic flower guide to try and figure out where everybody is in the battlefield to try and fight. And so she ends up, like, covering the crystal in flowers in order to try and protect it better. And it's, like, carrying it with them, while Asta's like going ahead to attack the magic. And so they all know who Asta is, and so they do their best to try and stay away from him, since he can easily destroy the magic. And because the Crimson Lion King guy knows him, like, he saw him at the hot springs, and his one new form is the one who alerts them, and the other guys, they all heard the rumors of him. And so they end up trying to, like, split up to try and confuse him so that Asta can get near them, and they gotta be way more careful. And so it's like, I think they all try to attack at once, but then something happens where Asta steps in a trap that no one knows who set it. And so they all try to attack at once, but more trap magic shows up and stops them, like, all three at once, and basically destroys all of the magic that the guys were sending at them. And the one guy wakes up saying, "Well, that worked," and just starts to walk over. and we feel that he was the one who set the trap magic the night before, because he was mentioning how tired he was because he didn't get any sleep, and it's revealed he knew about the Royal Knights exam and where it was going to be held, and decided to set up trap magic ahead of time in order to try and level the playing field. And now I'm wondering, how did he know about it? The king revealed it at the Star Festival. I was wondering how he knew the location of it, of the test. As he got it from the one assistant guy who told him about it, because I'm assuming the vice captain probably came back to participate in the exam, and the guy learned about the exam from him, and the location. And he revealed he was also the one who set the trap that Asta stepped in and hurting him, and he also ends up destroying the crystal. According to him, he set the trap and used them as a lure so that the enemies would get into position. So I'm kind of wondering how he knew exactly where they would be. I mean, I think it's just extreme luck. It sort of revealed that he set up a whole bunch of traps around the place. I'm assuming he figured that they would get into one of them and set the other traps. And the enemies would set off the other traps. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering why Julius and Marx don't know who this guy is, because I'm assuming they know who the vice captain of the Purple August is. Well, Marx doesn't seem to recognize him, but Julius would know who that guy is, and that he isn't the vice captain, because he's the Wizard King. He would have to know who the captain and the vice captain of the Purple August are. But he doesn't say anything. So I'm assuming he's watching over them to try and see who this guy is and what his plan is. Especially because of everything with the Eye of the Midnight Sun. He probably wants to know if he's possibly a member or something. Because in the beginning, when he shows up, he just kind of comes off the top of the Colosseum looking place and just lands next to Julius, and he doesn't seem all that bothered by what's going on. He seems vaguely confused, but he's not saying, "Hey, you're not the Purple August vice captain, who are you?" Because I would be shocked if he didn't know who the vice captain is, since he's the leader of all of the Magic Knights. Like I said, after this we get introduced to Mimosa's brother, and they're just the complete opposites of each other, where he's actually pretty flamboyant and over the top, and he ends up being on a team with Sol and Magna, where he's way more flamboyant than any of the other nobles. He just keeps sparkling every time he shows up. Even his dialogue, bubbles have sparkles on them. It's just even if he's not on the page, he's talking. Which I think that's kind of a funny detail. And it seems despite his personality, where as a noble he also doesn't like the commoners that much, so he does view himself as being better. And yet he also seems to be pretty smart generally. He seems to know what he's doing, even though he doesn't seem to want to work with Magna or Sol because of their backgrounds. And he ends up using cherry blossom magic, where he's able to use it to create clones of himself, and ends up spreading it all around the battlefield. One, to kind of confuse the enemy and hide the battlefield from them, but also open up a field for his teammates to go and get the crystal. And so it's also revealed that Saki's here, and he didn't even want to come because there were gonna be a whole bunch of powerful people there, but he only came because Jack told him to. Fenris also, though, he ended up being teamed up with Hammond and Leopold. And so Sage ended up being with Langris, Fenris' younger brother. And Sami, for some reason, shows up. Like, I don't understand why she even came. Like, I don't... Like, she and Nero ended up coming up, and so she ended up hiding in, like, Noel's, like, cloak, where she turned herself into, like, Cotton, her and Nero. And we also get Rill coming, who's the captain of the Arco Dio, where he wanted to fight, and also to, according to him, repair their reputation because they came in last. And everyone actually seems pretty confused as to why he's there, because they don't understand why a captain's participating. But Julius ends up telling them that he's more than welcome, and that everybody should try harder in order to try and defeat him, because if they can defeat a captain, they can, like, make a name for themselves. We also get Brill's butler coming in, where he just shows up out of nowhere, telling them to be nice to the captain. And he just, like, slides him over to Asta holding a cup of hot tea. I think he just got it out of nowhere and just gives it to him. Somehow, and for some reason, having a hot tea on him at all times. And he kind of starts thinking about Rill's backstory, where Rill was also a noble who, when he got his magic, didn't seem to care that much about, like, anything or anyone but making his painting, where he has like, paint magic, or what it's called, picture magic, where he can create basically anything from, I don't know if it's limited to just paint. It could be anything that he draws, because he mostly just paints, but he got his magic. He had shut himself away because he started thinking that nobody understands him, because everybody kept trying to get him to stop painting, and they seemed pretty frustrated with how he was growing up, I think it was supposed to be. But his magic at one point went out of control, kinda. And his butler ended up, like, helping him understand that in order for people to understand him, he had to start understanding other people and his magic. And so his butler, Walter, has been with him all this time, trying to help him out. And he ends up being so powerful that he ends the match within, like, a minute. The next few matches just end up being pretty quick, where it's Claus, Luck, and a woman named Pooley, who is part of the Blue Rose Knights. And so they win pretty quickly, and then the next team ends up being Noel, and a guy named Anne, who's part of the Green Praying Mantis. And the team they're fighting ends up being with Salad and Alec Dora. And Salad ends up going against their plan in order to go after Noel. Well, Alec Dora stands behind, I think, to protect the crystal and fight Juno. This volume, I didn't mind it that much, because part of it was because I liked seeing more of the Magic Knights showing up. Because mostly it seemed like the Black Bulls, the Crimson Lion Kings, and the Golden Dawn were kind of like the ones that ended up being in the spotlight the most. We have, Claus and Mimosa from the Golden Dawn showing up quite a bit. I think the Crimson Lion Kings are starting to show up a bit more. And then the Black Bulls are like the main squad, so we see them so much. So I kind of like this arc introducing some more characters from the various squads, where even if they're not super developed, we're seeing more members, so it kind of starts to feel like a bit more like real squads in a way. Also, kind of like bringing back a few characters like Hammond and Alacdoro, who we haven't seen since the Capital Invasion. So kind of nice seeing more of the squad members. So that starts to feel more like a bit more like a real place. We're also getting a bit with like Alacdoro where he seems what it was kind of brought back up in like the Capital Invasion where he doesn't seem to like that much because like one, he's a commoner, and two, he seems almost jealous of him where he's rushing through the ranks pretty quickly, and the like captain seems to really like him, and also he had the Syl choose him. So it's at least nice seeing like a bit more with at least like a few characters just to like develop them a bit more. Like I don't think they're gonna appeal that much, but it's just kind of nice. Cause I mean, like it is a bit sad because I don't think these characters are gonna be appeared that often. Because some of them seem fun that I want to see come back, but I think there's already so many characters coming in that I don't think it's gonna be possible. Because also this arc, I think this is the most characters introduced in a while. Like I think the last time they had this many characters coming in was probably the Capital Invasion. Yeah, and Langris and Fenrir's relationship is coming back again. Well, that was kind of brought up in, I think it was volume 4 or 5 maybe. Yeah, because, or maybe it, no, I think it was later. Was it from volume 6 or 7? Because I think it was after the underwater temple when they met Fido. Yeah, because like the Witch Kingdom arc didn't start until like the volume 10, I think it was. So it had to be volume 8 or 9. They met Langris. So I'm kind of glad that they're bringing like that relationship back up and seems to be setting them up to fight in this arc. And so I do kind of like that this arc kind of shows off everyone. I mean, like, even if it's not super long, everyone kind of gets a little moment to shine, even with, like, so many characters, because, like, the battles, many of them only last, like, a couple of pages. Like, I think Ashta's fight took up the most time, which I kind of get because it's Asta and it's the main character, and they also had to introduce the new guy too, since the new guy was on his team. So yeah, for the most part, I kind of like how things are going so far. Like it does kind of feel like the plot with the Alpha Midnight Sun is going to start coming to like a head soon, I think. Like it seems to be progressing kind of quick now with them getting like the Wild Knights exam and them knowing what the Eye of the Midnight Sun's hideout is. Like for the most part, I am kind of happy with the way it's progressing. Because so far it's been a little while since we've seen looked and way more of the members of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. And so far they haven't brought back the one guy who's shapeshifting into one of the captains. Like they haven't mentioned that much since it happened back in like the beginning of the series, I think it was. Cause I think when that happened was like volume like 6, I think. And they haven't mentioned that at all lately. Yeah, I think that's everything for now that I can think of. Peace.